Hello and welcome to Zoo Radio. I'm Colin Daly and each week I'll be taking you on a guided tour of the zoo. We have been granted exclusive behind-the-scenes access to all the major exhibits, as well as a unique insight into the residents from the people that know them best. This series has been recorded using the very latest in three-dimensional binaural recording techniques and is best listened to through a set of stereo headphones.
My name's Trevor Bars. My job title is Deputy Head of the Bird Section, and I also look after the sea lions. I've worked with the sea lions for probably the last 16 years. Not these ones in particular, these both came to us about 2001, but we've had sea lions obviously all the time.
Okay, could you talk me through a typical day's work, if there is such a thing?
Yeah, well the first thing is we come in at 8 o'clock or just before usually. You've got to pick up your radio, your keys, and then you walk around the section. I feed some of the animals on the way around. We've got electric fences around things like penguins and flamingos, keep foxes out overnight, so we have to make sure they're switched off first thing, because obviously can't have public anywhere near electric fencing. Walk around, check the section, and then there's three of us that work the section, and we all have our own individual part where we feed and clean for the morning. And then when it comes to about 12 o'clock I've got to feed these and the penguins.
Okay. When did you decide to become a keeper?
I suppose it's always been since I was a child. We've always had pets at home and that, and I mean the annual holiday trip was to the local zoo, and just from there I thought, oh, this looks a good job, and that was basically it. So when I left school I just went straight into zoos.
What would you describe as the best and the worst parts of what you do?
The best part obviously is the contact with the animals. It's like with the sea lions here, you've got a trust between you and them. I mean, not everybody can get that trust, if you know what I mean. If somebody else went in there, they wouldn't have the same response from the animals. I mean, obviously I suppose the worst parts of the job are the long hours. The money is alright, but it's not compared to other jobs. You don't get weekends off, obviously, because animals have got to be looked after 365 days a year. I mean, we don't get Christmas, you have to work Christmas as well.
But it's some rewards though, isn't it? I mean, this is...
Well, that's what I say, yeah, when you go in there and you get the contact back from the animals, yeah. But, well, that's it, basically,
Do you have a favourite animal in this section or any particular section?
I suppose Zenon, the male sea lion, because he's so huge, he could do so much damage to you if he wanted to, but if you're watching a minute when I feed him, he's so gentle, you can put the fish in his mouth, and there's no attempt to bite. Whereas the size he is, he could kill you, basically. They've got the same set of teeth as a dog, so they've got the big canines and that, and obviously can take your fingers off.
And has there been any amusing stories with them recently? Do you get wet often?
Not really wet, but when he was a few years younger, as you see on the top of the pool, we've got some skimmers there, and they've got a plastic circular cover, and they kept disappearing in the bottom of the pool. And then we found one day he was actually using them as a skimmer. And to amuse himself, he was actually holding it in his mouth, flicking it across the water and then chasing it.
Well, that would suggest that you actually don't have to do much mucking out then if the pool skimmers take care of the job for you?
That's right, yeah, it's all automatic. We just have to backwash. We've got a big filter system around the back hidden behind the waterfall, which is backwashed every couple of days. So we just keep the pool topped up with fresh water. We bleach the water to keep the algae down, obviously. This pool's been in here for 18 years now and it's never been totally emptied. It's just continually backwashed.
Oh, because we've just been to see the elephants and they do a whole barrel full of muck in the morning, so that's...
Oh yeah, well yes, it dissolves down in the water and gets taken out through the system.
Okay, and is that a sand filtration system, is it all?
Sand, yeah, that's right, yeah, sand and chloride. The chloride keeps the algae down, it's air pump fed.
And do you feed this through ultraviolet light at all?
No, we don't do anything like that, no, it's just, the water is circulated constantly 24 hours a day. Through the sand filters.
Is that the recirculation then we can hear through the waterfall?
Actual waterfall. At night that waterfall is switched off, and but the water is still circulating through the pool. Okay. That is just for a show, basically. The waterfall. The system still works without it.
Okay. What member of the animal kingdom do they belong to?
These are sea mammals, I suppose. They're pinnipeds, they're collectively known as. You've got the sea lions, which there's 5 species of. You've got the fur seals, which is another different species. They're very similar to the sea lions, but they tend to be a bit hairier and smaller. And then you've got the seals, which belong to the same family, which is, there's 23 species, I believe, of those. We have kept seals in the past, but we don't have any at present.
And from which country do they originate from?
These are South America. They're found around the southern coast of South America, right through Peru, right down the bottom to Uruguay.
And how did they come to be at the zoo? Were they rescued or were they part of breeding?
The female, I think, was wild caught, but she came from a zoo in Germany that was not keeping sea lions anymore. She had bred and been produced a pup before she came here. The male came as a fairly youngster. He was bred in Holland, as a collection in Emmen, where they keep a collection of about 23 animals, and he was a youngster that was parent reared, and about 3-year-old he came to us.
Okay. And do they have individual personalities, and if so, how would you describe them?
Well, yeah, especially with the sea lions. I mean, he is very dominant. You'll see when I feed them that she will keep out of this way. If I have to get rid of him before she'll come to me, because that is the hierarchy system of the sea lion. In the wild, he'd have 8-9 females in a harem during the breeding season, and he would defend that group to the death, basically. So therefore he has to be a strong, big animal, and he doesn't put up with any nonsense, put it that way. When the fish is there, he wants the first lot.
And what kind of fish? Is it always fish you feed them? Or?
Yeah, we use a mixture of herring and sprats. We've got two sorts of herring. There's the large herring from the Atlantic, and we've got some Baltic herring that we use, which is slightly smaller, and then we mix it with some sprats.
And how much would they consume in a day then?
Well, the big male there, he can consume, during the breeding season, he may go off his food altogether for up to 2 months, because he has to stay on the beach to look after his female, so no other male grabs his girls while he's away feeding. But when he is on full form during the winter, he's probably eating 20 kilograms of fish a day, and she'll eat probably half that.
And is that the same as what they would feed on in the wild?
More or less, they eat fish, but they eat crustaceans, krill, stuff like that. And also they will take things like young fur seal pups and penguins. It's quite common for them to take the odd Gen 2 or rock up a penguin. That's why we don't keep the penguins and sea lions together.
Not anymore?
No, not anymore.
Not after the last time. Do they need any additional supplements then for the diet?
Yes, daily they get, it's a concentrated tablet form, vitamin supplement and salt. Because obviously the fish that we supply them with has been previously frozen that we thaw out, so therefore a lot of the goodness is lost in freezing, so we're just putting it back into the fish for them.
Okay. You say when you feed them you can literally put the fish inside his mouth. Do they show any kind of human attributes?
Not really. They're only interested in us for one thing, that's food. Apart from that, they're just not bothered. The only reason they're here now is because they're waiting to be fed.
My mum used to say a similar thing to me. What's the estimated lifespan then for a captive animal?
Probably late 20s, 30 is a good age. But it's like with people, some die a bit younger. Mid-20s is a good age.
And is that the same for the wild?
In the wild, it's generally a bit... especially with the males, because they've got to compete with other bigger, stronger males, their lifespan is quite a bit shorter. Because also during the breeding season, when they do stop eating, if they waste too much, they can die through it, lack of food.
And how old are these two here?
She is 9 and he is 7.
What are they, sorry?
The male is Xenon and the female is Russia.
Is there a name for the given collective?
Group.
It's a group?
Yeah, a group of sea lions.
Very good. Brilliant. Okay, well thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
Well, Trevor has just gone into the enclosure and Xenon, the big male, is sitting right in front of him. It's quite a sight to see actually. Xenon weighs upwards of 350 kilograms, which is about 40 stone. He's now started throwing the fish into the water. Xenon has given chase. This has allowed Roshi to come up, and she's beautiful. She's actually a very sleek sea lion, whereas Xenon looks a bit more fierce. And she only weighs she's only 20 stone. She's half Xenon's weight. Trevor is literally pouring the fish into her throat, and as if by magic, a flock of seagulls have appeared. They're trying to get hold of any stray fish. Oh, well, many thanks to Trevor, and we'll leave the sea lions now to enjoy the lunch.
Twycross has 12 red-fronted macaws. These birds are classed as endangered on the IUCN Red List, with only 1,000 to 4,000 left in the wild. Twycross Zoo was the first zoo in the UK to breed tropical screech owls. parrots will often eat clay. This may help them to detoxify after eating plants which would be poisonous to them. The hawk owl is one of the few species of owls that is usually active during the day. Watching from its favourite perch, it swoops down on its prey. Asian elephants are classed as endangered as they are at high risk of extinction. During the 19th century, prairie dogs became quite rare, due mostly to poisoning programs. They are not now classed as endangered. In 1986, the old Pets Corner building was demolished and a new building built in its place. Prairie dogs are vegetarians, eating mainly plants and grasses that grow naturally in their enclosure, although they are also fed fruit and vegetables. The group Rodentia, or rodents, is the most successful group of mammals with over 2,000 species belonging to it. Twycross has 12 red-fronted macaws. These birds are classed as endangered on the IUCN Red List with only 100,000 to 400,000 left in the wild.
Hi there, my name is Julie and I've been working here for 22 years altogether, and at the moment I'm looking after the orangutans.
Can you talk us through a typical day's work for yourself?
Well, we start at 8 o'clock in the morning at the moment and we finish at 6. In the morning I'll collect some branches for the orangutans. Obviously this time of year there isn't any leaves on them, but they still enjoy them. They'll eat the buds and the bark off the branches. That's the first job of the day. The next job is getting them all up in the morning and getting the breakfast out to them. There's a lot of cleaning out involved, which takes up usually till about 11:30. Then it's all diet preparation, and we do a lot of enrichment as well. So we're constantly moving the animals around, getting them in and out, so we can pop extra bits and bobs into their enclosures. Sort of hiding bits of food everywhere, that sort of thing, to make them a little bit more active.
Okay, and who have we got in front of us here?
This is Theodora. She's 17 years old, and holding on to the top of her head is her baby, who's called Tamu. That's a little female, and she's just 15 months old. At the back there we've got Satu. Satu's Theodora's older daughter, so she's sister to Tamu. Satu's 7 years old. Satu actually means number one, which is an Indonesian word, and Tamu means guest.
All right, and where have these originated from?
All our orangutans have come from Borneo, and we've been breeding them here for some years, and we're actually up to 3rd generation in captivity now.
Oh, so these three have been bred here then, actually, in captivity?
They have, yes.
And is it successful, the breeding programme?
It's very successful, yes.
And how would you describe their personalities? Are they all different, or...?
They're all very different, just like people are. We've got one female that's fairly unfriendly towards the keepers. We've got those that are very friendly, like Theodora here. She's quite people-orientated. And we've got Batu on the other side and Malaku that really don't really bother with people at all, but they're quite easygoing and, you know, like a quiet life.
What kind of food do they eat then?
They eat mostly fruit and vegetables. We give them a little bit of protein. We give them hard-boiled eggs twice a week, but generally it's all fruit and vegetables. We tend to give the babies more fruit than vegetables, and then when they're actually adult we give them more vegetables than fruit, and that's really just to try and control the weight a little bit.
Is that to stop them gaining too much or to keep the weight up? Or
To stop them gaining too much, because our fruits that we use are quite high in sugar, so if they were to eat fruit all the time, then they would just continue to put on weight, so we have to keep the weight down a little bit.
And is this very different to what they would eat in the wild?
It's a little bit different, yes, but in the wild, the fruits that they would find in the forest are probably more like our vegetables, and they will probably eat a lot more in the way of maybe insects, flowers, bark, that sort of thing.
How much would they eat in a day then?
Well, they get through a fair amount. They have a vegetable scatter feed in the morning, which is what they all share it, and then they get another scatter feed during the day, which is seeds and sultanas and bits of vegetable cereals, and then they get fruit and vegetables again at night. So they do get through a fair amount.
Do they display any human attributes?
Well, you can't help but sometimes compare some of their behaviour to humans. And a funny story about Theodora is one day when the trend was to sell these baby fruits in the supermarkets, we actually got some baby pineapples in, which is obviously the same as a large sized pineapple, but it was small. So I gave the pineapple to Theodora, and she didn't immediately think, oh, pineapple, I'm going to eat this. She thought, oh, hairbrush, and she set to doing her hair all beautiful and combed, and her arms on her head, on her legs, and she combed herself all over with this baby pineapple.
Oh, brilliant. Where do they sleep then? Do they make like a nest in here, or?
Yes, they do nest out here. Orangutans nest quite a lot, and they'll build several day nests during the day, and then we have night quarters for them where they build their night nests, and they always tend to build it off the ground and on a shelf.
All right, and that's to mimic what they would do in the wild, is it?
That's right, yeah. They feel a lot safer sleeping off the ground.
And how many animals are you looking after then in your section?
We've got 8 orangutans here at the moment. We've got 2 males and 6 females.
And do you need to keep those all separate, or?
We've got 2 groups at the moment. We've got this group of 3 females, which are kept separate to the other group, which has the adult male in. That's the adult male and all the others. And the reason for that is they are semi-solitary, and it's not the male that's the problem really, it's the females. They tend to like their own space when they're adult. So Theodora here doesn't tolerate any other females within her territory, so we have to split them up.
Oh, so she's much happier than like this then?
Yes, a lot happier, and the others are even more happier because Theodora is the dominant animal.
All right. So there's still like a kind of group hierarchy though, even though there's small groups.
Yes. On the other side, we've got Malaku, who's a young female. She's 11 years old, and she's got her first baby, Miri, with her. And because she's actually the male's favourite female at the moment, her baby has got quite high status within that group.
All right. And how often do they breed then? Kind of how many babies would you get a year?
They only breed about once every 6 years in captivity, and
really?
even less in the wild, which is part of the problem at the moment with the numbers declining out in the wild. They can't, because of the slow breeding rate, they can't actually catch up, and it's just a downward spiral at the moment, especially so with the palm oil situation.
And what's that then?
Well, at the moment in Sumatra and in Borneo, the main crop is palm oil, and there's a lot of deforestation going on, and a lot of orangutans are losing their homes. Yeah, they're cutting down the forest and they're planting palm oil.
All right, okay.
So the orangutans are being displaced, and for various reasons we're losing them that way. And the UK is actually the second highest user of palm oil within Europe. So there are a few campaigns going on at the moment to try and sustainably source the palm oil.
Could you tell me their Latin name?
They're Pongo pygmaeus pygmaeus.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks very much.
Captive orangutans use clothing to make nests or wrap around a branch as a hammock or hide under it if it's raining, as they do with big leaves in the wild. Chimpanzees are threatened by hunting, human research and habitat loss. In some areas, hunting for bushmeat is prevalent. The first bonobo born in Twycross was in 1994, and by 2003 6 babies had been born, 3 to Daiatu and 3 to Banya. Chimpanzees will occasionally hunt other primates, and in the zoo they are sometimes fed chicken, although some like it more than others. Male chimpanzees and bonobos regularly inspect the females. When females have a large swollen pink bottom, it is a sign that they are ready to mate.
You've been listening to the Zoo Radio podcast. Please like and subscribe to get the latest episodes.